I'm Porter's. Good morning from Amsterdam. I sing because I see Alissa's face. Okay, I'm sorry I took the lead, but it's just such a great joy to introduce you to Alissa. Usually, I'm sure she introduces her guest, but I'm no guest. We've known each other since 2013, thanks to the Breakthrough to Success workshop with Jack Canfield. And I learned how to super admire this girl that is always and always seeing how she can enrich the life of others. And she tends to forget herself. Alissa has invited me to be here today as a guest, but I want her to feel what it is to be a guest of herself. And she told me when we were starting, I'm in Amsterdam now on the way to Mexico. I am Mexican. I'm a happiness ambassador and I just love to live. I came to celebrate life and I know it now for sure because my first years of life, I lived them dead. And now after I, for some reason, became a we, now we know in this I that we are going to die alive. Through what? The authenticity that is the essence of this program. Authenticity means that you remember that you have been created by a force that cannot be measured. It is so huge to understand, we'll never understand. Where did your parents get the power to bake you in your mom's uterus? How did the seed of your father, the sperm, and the seed of your mother came to be in the first place? Now we have this divine uterus of your mommy, my mommy, your mommy, Alissa, and two cells become 4, 8, 16, 32, and in 9 months, you become 50 trillion cells. A super huge we. You're not an I, cannot be. Where did your mother have any power to create you? She did not. She didn't do anything. Did you? No. So this is where I know, like I know, that you are divine, just like. And what does divine mean? To have been created by a force so huge that I move always when I want to feel it. And this force of life creates in constant motion, in beauty and in benevolence.
Yeah, just like I feel when I stand next to the ocean or when I am standing beside Niagara Falls, that ever-flowing and abundant hugeness, vastness is already present in the world. I left the ocean as a place to live and moved towards Niagara Falls because it made me remember that I am also part of nature. How often do we think of ourselves as separate from nature? I have to go into nature. I think, Gloria, what you helped me to realize in my life is that we are part of that. We are embodied along with everything else. We're another species here on the planet. We're another animal here, creature, creation. And to embody all of that essence, sometimes it's overwhelming for our brains to understand, to conceptualize, but no, listen, when you listen into your heart, when you listen into your feelings, it's there in an instant. And that's the difference between heart-led and head-led life. Can you tell us a little bit about your phrase that you used in your introduction here on, I was living dead, and now I know that I am living because I will die alive.
Die alive. I will die alive. Because to die alive, you need to be living alive because Mrs. Death can come anytime. And death is not the end. Death just means give me your body back and come back home. That's all it means. I just wanted to add to what you said about nature, and I'll come back to this, that we have been here only 300,000 years. Whereas, for example, what do you call those little animals? Scorpions. Scorpions have been here 4 million years. So that we please realize that trees who have been millions of years here are our ancestors. And they can, if you allow it and you give them the hierarchy that they deserve, just because you can sit under a tree and just allow for the wisdom of that tree to talk to you, because you're not in the arrogance that we are led to believe that we are at the top of the scale. So thank you for mentioning the fact that we are nature, along with everything else, mosquitoes included. Mm. And now I will go back to your question. Living dead was because I was living in fear. Have you ever lived in fear, Alissa?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So Miss Fear can be lethal or save you. I would like to ask Alissa, how has fear saved you in the span of your life? Just tell me one occasion, because I'm sure there are many.
Oh, wow. That's a very deep question. What I will say is, in my life now, rather than allowing fear to tell me how to behave, where I would feel the fear and then shrink away, I now have noticed that when fear shows up, I'm noticing how it shows up in context of my life. So when fear shows up, when I've made a big commitment or made a decision to grow and stepping into the unfamiliar, that fear is now like a lamp on my road. It now sheds light on the fact that I'm growing, not telling me how to behave and move away, but it shows me that I'm actually in growth mode. It is a positive signal in my head.
So if I understood you, you are saying that Miss Fear was invited by you to come and have a cup of tea, and instead of being something that freezes you, now that Miss Fear that comes along with new doors to open, is holding you tight to say, yeah, you're feeling this because you're opening a new portal to say something. Is that it?
Yes.
So you are befriending with kindness. That's when you get saved by fear.
And honestly, that I think I have to attribute that to being in your presence there. You know, we've known each other over 10 years, and you used to talk about Mrs. Economical Energy and how it flows like a river. It's always coming from somewhere and going somewhere, but putting personality onto these very abstract feelings or notions helped me to get more familiar with what I was feeling, or get in touch with how to interact with it in a new way, because you hear things like money and economy and household and raising a family, and these are all very abstract principles, and they come with a lot of preconceived decisions inside of them.
And burdens.
Yeah, burdens. Yes. I think that's a beautiful word for the trappings that come with our assumptions. And when we can feel into or give ourselves permission to engage in a dialogue with these types of awarenesses and treat them like friends, rather so than, you know, fence posts or roadways or maps, I realized I'm actually creating life with these forces.
Exactly. And you're also creating it the other way around. When you're afraid of being afraid, then it becomes out of control stories. And maybe even a heart attack. So it's not convenient. It's not convenient. After all, we all are. Do you feel that there's something called reality?
I mean, it depends on how philosophical you want to get and metaphysical you want to get. I believe that we make our perceptions and our choices around how reality shows up for us. Exactly. I don't think that there is one objective reality that just is, you know, but to that point.
I am sure there's a Margaret or a Mary or a Peter or a David around us now that we're talking, because it's a we thing. It's just we're showing our faces. I am sure, like I know, that they have a completely different opinion of this bouquet, which I mean. This is from a girl that gave it to me in Jeddah, as I was there last week, and this is from Martika, my daughter-in-love, as I call her, first Rose, to come with us and stay with us. So none of us would have done the same thing. I put a little candle, I put some water. So if Mary had been called to be interviewed, or David, or Charles, they would all have showed up differently. Not wrong, not right, just differently. So for me, getting out of the living dead has a lot to do with understanding that there's nothing to understand. You know, it's everything to feel, just feel. Because in the understanding, just tell me, how do I understand the beauty of this flower? How, what equation or whatever. It's just how I feel when I see her. And I realize that God made her, and if she's so beautiful, so am I. I'm feeling this. She can talk to me because my guard is down. When I was younger, before 17, I was afraid of the afraid. My parents, I thought they were ogres. Lift your hand if you ever have felt that your parents don't love you. And I almost can see everybody lifting their hands, because at least once we have felt it. And when you have felt, because even they told us, I don't know about you, if you don't eat this, I'm not going to love you anymore. She's not going to love you anymore. Oh my God. And you start getting panic attacks. What if they don't love me? Then I can't eat, I can't survive, I don't have a house, or I'm nobody. And my parents were super strict. So for some of you who are parents there and are super strict, please take a breath and realize if you're being strict with your kids because that's what your parents did. And realize if that's what you want to continue doing. So that crippled me into epilepsy, my first attack at 11 years old. When I was what? Living dead. Living dead means I have completely forgotten that I come from divinity, from that force of life that gives the Niagara Falls all that effect on you. So at 17 or 16, I got my tonsils removed. I was still living all this time in fear and I'm nobody. And I have written here, bully me because I'm an idiot. You know, it was written here. So I just remember now, maybe in my classroom, I remember this very kind boy called Bruce Sanborns. No, Ricky Sanborns. And he was coming my way with something in his hand. And I used to feel close to him because he was one of the kindest people in the classroom. And when you are hurting like that, kindness heals you. But I moved myself away because I didn't know if he was going to come and bully me. Now I know he probably was coming to share with me his lunch. So we are living dead when we feel, and right here, that we're not enough. Please kick me. That's what I'm here for. 16, 17 comes and I get the tonsils removed after so many years of medication, not knowing I had epilepsy. And the effect of the anesthesia put me in the position of not being able to be defensive when my father came in the room. With what? An imported juice in Mexico. Welch's grape juice is imported. And I saw it. I love that juice. We used to get it when we traveled. And I remember asking myself, how does he know I like it if he doesn't love me? And then he keeps on walking towards me, but now with a tear, like I'm suffering, and he doesn't want his baby girl to suffer. And I'm, what? This ogre cares about how I feel? And he puts the juice down, and the voice inside of me that is inside of all of us, when we are in expansion, allowing all those endorphins coming out from the vitamin W, wow, you can hear say, see, Gloria, you invented it all. They, not he, they do love you. It was like, oh, I could surrender. Like a blindfold just dropped. And I don't have to do anything. Now I can choose to do things. It was just 1 second. Boom. And the voice, because I stayed in this surrender, continued and said, giving me a key, ask them how they were raised. I thought, how am I going to ask these ogres anything without them eating me? But now the ogre part, somehow, when my mother told me that my grandma was stricter with her than she was with me, and my grandma would be the one, like, rocking me when my mom, or when I allowed my mom to make me believe I was a loveless kid. And I hear that. And I say, now I understand my mom. She doesn't do all this screaming and shouting and demanding because she doesn't love me. It's because she believes that's the way it's supposed to be. And here I want to add a little note on the word forgiveness. For me, forgiveness is a knife with two sides, very dangerous. Because forgiveness, in order for us to forgive, we need to be in the victim side, right? And as a victim, I forgive the wrongdoer. So I'm judging. I'm bigger than you. I forgive you. So if it's in these terms, the minute I didn't sleep enough or my tooth is aching, and the person moves a little bit, see, you're doing it again. I knew it. I can never forgive you. However, if you choose instead to understand the person as being in a different reality than yours, this is how we started this conversation. Each one of us has their own reality. Oh, now I understand you. So you bypass this forgiveness thing, which will allow you to keep some of the grudge under the carpet, and you being a false good. There's no goodness in criticizing. Never. It's a false goodness.
Yeah.
The real goodness is I understand and I embrace you. And this is where I ask you, where is this pivotal part in your life that you can make your film roll the way it makes you feel good?
And that's exactly what we're all up to in this moment, in this new age that we're all entering here together, because all of the things that we expect to happen are no longer happening as expected. There's general assumptions that are kind of all being challenged right now. Technology is changing the way we think and the way we
Artificial
live.
intelligence.
Yep. And so the things that cause us fear because they're change are also the very things that can cause us delight because it's an opportunity to choose something new. And it's an opportunity to grow into making those choices. So I heard you say kind of a whole lot of stuff, and I have so many thoughts that are coming through, but the essence of it feels like when you lead with love and compassion, you can start to wonder what's happening instead of assuming that you know what's happening and that it's a certain way, right? So I watch my 5-year-old son back in the day kicking and screaming and throwing a temper tantrum, and I think he knows that throwing a temper tantrum is going to get him what he wants, and I am going to cave. This is a pattern I had pre-established in my mind that children manipulate their parents, and I don't know where it came from. It could be generational. It could have been as a result of something else in my life. But when I stopped and looked at it in a different way and said, well, what if this is the way that he knows how to get attention, and he's trying to connect with me but has no other mechanism to communicate? And I started to have a different relationship with my assumptions. right? I've changed a whole lot of things, and I've gone against the grain in a whole bunch of ways in my life that allowed me to look at it and to open things up that were preconceptions and say, is this really the way that it is? Or is it just the way that I have experienced in the way that it has been? And I get to decide here. So in my parenting, I got to decide how to get down on the level with my children so that I could understand. Now I'm no Mother Teresa. I'm sure that I've made mistakes and I'm going to be that ogre in their story. How many of us parents feel like as we're raising our kids, we're also at the same time screwing them up? And there is beauty in that, because it's when you have the opportunity to have contrast, that's where learning comes from. So for me, having this experience of maybe my child's not manipulating me to try to win one over, maybe it's the competitive society that I belong to, and I get to choose in this little precious connection between this human that I created. I get to choose how I view it. And that was like revolutionary.
But never forget, that's just your film. That's just your film, Alissa's film. Alissa's film putting her own children there and here. So if this is Alissa's film, then evidently your son has his own film as well.
Yep.
So here, for me, what I would like to share with you, and has helped me so much, is that there is no wrong and right. There's just different.
Yep.
Tears and smiles are part of the same thing. There's no duality, it's non-duality, it's part of the same thing. So when you're feeling sad and tearful, you know this is the fertilizer for a bigger smile when the process comes through. And that your film can never be like mine. Yes, you can see this rose. Yes, you can see this the same way I'm seeing. But maybe this is reminding me of my days when I used to live in Japan. And oh my God, I remember my Japanese mom and blah, blah, blah. And for you, the same thing reminds you of that day when you saw a very frustrated mother throw something like this to the wall against her husband. Can't be the same story. But we can say, okay, somebody who throws this against a wall, it's not wrong or right. What was her film telling her that she did this? Maybe she has chosen to stay in the victim mode. And sometimes it's very hard to stay out of victim mode because you don't know that there's something else. So that comes back to me when I say, in the question of yours, how do you get into I will die alive? And how do you get into I will die alive? First of all, you know you will never die. You will just be transformed. The word death creates a lot of fear in our societies because you are supposed to cry when you lose someone. You don't lose anybody. When my mother left her body, I didn't lose her. If I had said, I miss you, Mom, and she would be tipping here on my shoulder. What are you talking about? I'm right here. Just listen to me. Oh, why did you die? Why did you die? And I will never hear her in me. But if I say, okay, we know that this body is a gift for us. I see it like this. A hummingbird comes to the water, has a little sip, and flies back up. So this is our soul comes to Mother Earth. We get a gift called body. We do the things earthlings do in 3 seconds, and then we're back up. When you see it like that, and which is the way most Mexicans feel about death, we can go to the airport, and you know, Alissa is coming to Mexico, so your family is going with you to the airport to say, go say hello to Gloria, and everybody's happy. I can go with my mom to the airport of she's going back home and there's no return ticket. And still we'll have the mariachis and have a good time. And it happened that way. Mom, who passed away, by the way, in Lebanon, where I was living, she didn't go back. I have her passport. You never know what's going to happen to you. So she just, you know, decided to go from there. And it was like 5 a.m. And my husband and I, she liked port wine, lifted the cup, and I could hear music welcoming her. Now, that's my film. It's my film. You don't want to believe it? Fine. Of course, it's fine. But one thing I tell you, it is machiavellically convenient for you to make a film that makes you feel good. You,
Mm-hmm.
not anybody else, you. So, whatever that is, go ahead and remember there's no such thing as one reality. Dare to live your own so you can what? Die alive.
I want to thank you so much for sharing your story and your perspective, because you have been one of the most uncommon thinkers and living beings that I've ever come in contact with. And to share you with my whole universe is such a delight. So I want to dedicate this episode to my Auntie Debbie. She was my friend, babysitter, surrogate mom who helped to raise me when my parents were very busy building their life. And
Show us the
she,
picture.
huh?
Show it. Keep it there. Yeah, keep on talking.
Okay. Yeah. So she really gave me the gift of feeling. Most her existence in life helped me to feel my way through life in a way that my family of origin had an idea about and had a way of being. My father had that way of being, but her way of connecting with us was always through the feelings and through looking at life through that lens of wonder. So I just, you remind me a lot of her. I feel very blessed to have the
What is her name
expansive
again?
Debbie.
Debbie. Hi, Debbie. Hello, Debbie.
And
that makes me want to bring a photo too.
Yeah.
That I find here in my son's house in Amsterdam. And this is my mother's last Saturday. Look how she left. She left like your Auntie Debbie, just feeling. This is how she left her body, because she didn't leave.
Yeah.
Her name is Gloria, just like me.
And these are the ways we can look at reality. Sometimes it takes us really far out of our own perception of life, but this is what I'm here to share, is there's no one way to be. In this age of disruption and this new normal that everyone keeps talking about, it's not normal. It's just new. We get to choose how we engage with this life and how we get to see things. So I hope you have enjoyed this conversation with Gloria as much as I have. And there's more where that came from. This woman has been a profound influence in my life and in my way of being and thinking. And so I have so much gratitude for being able to have you here with me today to rise and shine. And I wanted to just send blessings to all of you, that whether we talk tactics or whether we get spiritual or philosophical in nature, these are the tools, the little blinking, twinkling lights in your universe that you can use to feel good on your day-to-day basis, to create a life of new choices where you can see things in a way that bring you joy. And so,
may I?
Perspective is a choice. Yes. You
decide to be happy every breath. Remember, each breath is a fiesta. Thank you so much. Decide to be happy and stay happy
no matter what.
Thank you.
So
See you next time. Bye-bye.